First of all, we're going to talk about site preparation. So when you're planning for your biodiversity project, if you're thinking about a biodiversity corridor, we'd really like to have it at least 20 metres wide. And this has the best ecological benefits for wildlife. So it helps birds to move in and out amongst the vegetation. It's also got good benefits for your stock if you're trying to create a bit of a windbreak too. So we really recommend 20 metres wide, which might be 4 or 5 rows of trees. But if you can only afford 10 or 15 metres wide biodiversity corridor, that's a great start too.
Fencing is an aspect of biodiversity corridors that's often overlooked, and it's a critical part of the success of most projects where livestock are present. I would recommend that you don't skimp on fencing. It's worth putting a good solid fence in, and it's worth remembering that when the trees do get up and are well established, it's potential to remove that fence and allow your livestock to graze and shelter underneath the trees. Typically our grants cover the partial cost of materials, and also you'll have access to the local landmate crew through the Ararat prison as part of the grant. Herbicide is probably the next step. It's very important to get an effective spray on early as you can in the season, typically just after the autumn break, and then follow up if needs be with another one prior to ripping or planting or direct seeding, whatever you may be doing. Like an annual crop, weed control is really an important aspect to tree planting, and although a lot of us in an ecological sense are trying to avoid chemicals, sometimes a good effective knockdown initially will lead to great outcomes further down the track. After herbicide application, ripping is generally the next step. With a single tine ripper, we try and rip about 30 centimetres deep. We open up the soil, fracturing it, and this is potentially better done when it's dry as well. Then roll back over that rip line with the tractor wheel to squash all the air out of it and leave a nice soft planting base. In a dry season we plant in the middle of the rip line, and in a wet year we tend to plant off to the side just so those trees don't get waterlogged in the middle of the rip line.
Fantastic. So the Upper Hopkins Land Management Group does have some resources to help you with your tree planting projects. We have a spray unit that can help with the herbicide application, and also a water cart that can be really useful in dry years if you're watering in your trees. We also have Hamilton tree planters to help you get the trees into the ground, and we do have a direct seeder as well. And we haven't talked about direct seeding in this video, but we will talk about it in another video.